everybody, it's finally Friday. And you know what that means? That means I'm on Facebook. And earlier this week, I polled many of you on Facebook. Facebook is great for that. People respond, I get a lot of information. It helps me understand more about you and where you're coming from. And it just helps me interact on a whole nother level, which is kind of fun too. But I wanted to thank all of you for sharing how you found my videos, because that tells me a lot about maybe there's other people I should collaborate with, or people I should collaborate again with, or maybe there are certain topics I should touch on more. And that's why I also asked like what your favorites were and ones you want to see more of, because it just helps me better serve our community and make sure I'm putting out videos that are helpful and on topics that are very, useful to you. And it's really cool how many of you found me, and thank you all so much for answering, because like I said, it's just really cool for me to get to know us better as a community. And I challenge you, since many of you shared how you stumbled across it, and a lot of you said, oh, friends had forwarded it to you, or you found it on someone else's page, or it was a collaboration, I encourage you to share those favorite videos that you let me know about on your page, because if they're so helpful to you and there's one that sticks out that you maybe watch over and over, imagine how many other people in our lives could potentially benefit from it. And the more we talk about mental health, the better, right? Okay, so since it's Friday, I have 3 questions about the journal topic. Thanks, Lola, for that. Let's get crack-a-lackin'. First question: why can there be such a difference in people's intellectual maturity versus emotional maturity? I have a mood disorder and I'm constantly frustrated with myself because my mind can work through problems a lot faster than my mood can get past it. I try to focus on not acting on the mood swing, but that doesn't get rid of it. Sometimes I feel like my intelligence makes it harder. Now, this is going to be a really ridiculous analogy to make, but I love Louis C.K. He's a comedian, and I was watching one of the shows. It was on demand. I don't know. It's one of Louis' comedy shows, not his TV show. But he says something about, and this is not in reference to this person, but it's just to give you an idea of what I think they're feeling. He said that, Louis C.K. said, I feel like I'm really stupid, but I'm just smart enough to recognize I'm stupid, which makes me feel even worse. And he wished he was either smarter or dumber, so he didn't recognize it. And I feel like that's kind of an example of what this person is talking about. Like, they're intellectually so aware of themselves that the fact that their mood swing can take over and they last longer and they can't push through it is really frustrating. Now, I thought this was really cool, like the difference between intellectual maturity and emotional maturity. And I would actually say to this person, I don't think it's emotional maturity. I think it's a mental illness, and it takes a lot more intellectual and physical effort to move past that kind of stuff than we actually should have to. It's a little extra, and so it can feel like we can't push past it and we just have to wait for it to blow over. But I would encourage you to use that intellectual strength to come up with some tools to try. It's trial and error. We're going to find out what works, we're going to find out what doesn't work, but to help pass the mood. Now, I'm going to be putting out some new videos because many of you said that you want more DBT tools. I'll be putting out a lot more videos on that. And for this particular case, whenever any of us are feeling like our emotions or our moods are just kind of running over us and we feel overwhelmed by it and we feel like we're pinned against the wall and there's nothing we can do, that's where DBT is amazing. That's where it works its magic. And if you haven't checked out my Amazon widget on my website, I have a couple of DBT workbooks and stuff in there that I utilize. And I just got a new one in the mail that I'm going to look through, and if I like it, I'll put it on there too. But yeah, I would encourage you to use some of the DBT skills to help you with this mood swing and the feeling like it's taking you over. And it helps you kind of get in the grips of the mood swing, challenge it. Maybe we distract from it. Maybe we accept it. Maybe we work through it. It gives you some tools so that you can do that. And to be truthful, a lot of the tools could potentially be found in my self-harm workbook as well as my eating disorder workbook. I know some of it's like eating disorder focused, but if you just input mood swing in for self-harm or eating disorders, a lot of times it can still work for you. And that's another way to kind of get help until I have the time to put out more workbooks, which I am planning on doing, but it's just me all by myself, so it takes me a little time. Sorry for that. Okay, I hope that makes sense and is helpful. If any of you have tips about that, let us know below, okay? Question number 2. Hi, so I had a question. Is loneliness a good enough reason to see a therapist? I feel lonely all the time. I've tried making friends, but it never works and I end up worse. It's not that I can't make friends. It's just that I don't feel that attachment one is supposed to feel when friends click and grow closer. I've tried every opportunity, i.e. joining a hobby class, talking to classmates, etc., etc. And nothing works and I feel nothing will. I don't want to be lonely for the rest of my life, but is it wrong to want a therapist as a friend? I thought this was a great question. I actually have a couple clients struggling with this themselves. And there's a couple parts to this. First, a therapist is not your friend in that way. A therapist is a helpful liaison or a helpful, like your right-hand man to help you get to the point where you don't feel the loneliness anymore. Therapists aren't people who fill holes in us that we feel. Does that make sense? Like, if I feel like I really just need to be comforted and I need Sean to tell me he loves me more and be more comforting, my therapist can't do that for me, but they can teach me how to fill that void that I'm feeling in a healthy way. So a therapist can't fill this lonely hole, but they can help you recognize where it's coming from and give you helpful tools to fill it healthfully. Because oftentimes when we're lonely, a lot of times I talk to my clients mostly when they talk about loneliness, I talk about depression because those things can go hand in hand. We don't enjoy things like we used to. We don't really feel the energy or the connection to people. We're just not very emotional in that way, and it can be really difficult. And so I would definitely see a therapist. I would encourage you to find one that you really click with. I think that overall therapy will help with this feeling that's so palpable in your life right now, okay? Question number 3. Hey, Katie, thanks for everything you do. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm happy to do it. I don't know if this is the right place to post FAQs. Sorry if it isn't. Oh, it is. You in Facebook, that's the reason I left that in there. In Facebook or on Facebook, you can send me messages or you can post below yesterday's video, like in the feed. Those are the 2 places that I look for questions for my videos. Okay. My question is, my therapist is a clean eater and a fitness enthusiast, I guess. I fear that her attitude towards food is actually setting me back. I'm trying to recover from my eating disorder, but she agrees with me when I say there are bad foods and I don't want to eat sugar/processed stuff. I don't want to blame her, but what if I'm using her to feed my eating disorder thoughts? Now, my initial knee-jerk reaction, I was like, get a new therapist. Because as bad as this sounds, I don't really believe in clean eating and being a fitness enthusiast when we're working on a recovery. There aren't any bad foods. Obviously, there's healthier foods, but sometimes our body wants French fries. It needs a little extra fat or grease. Maybe we need extra avocado. I don't need having someone that's feeding that part, agreeing with you that there's bad foods. Oftentimes people like that can be very slender and very aware, and honestly, they border on orthorexia. If you wonder what orthorexia is, I have a video on it from way back in the day. So you can search orthorexia on my channel. But I would look into finding someone else. Not because she's a bad therapist, but when it comes to eating disorders, I don't think this is a very good fit. I honestly am a firm believer in there are no bad, everything in moderation, even moderation in moderation. I believe that working with a therapist and a dietitian who understand that there's a place for all foods and all snacks and all treats, it's just finding a right balance for your body because everyone's body is different and some people can't tolerate certain foods, some people really need more of one thing or another, and so there shouldn't be any bad foods. We shouldn't all be eating this clean certain way, but we should all be more mindful of what our body needs when it asks for it and giving it what it needs and then responding when it's full and stopping. And that's part of the recovery process, and having someone who's so rigid could be really difficult, okay? Now, journal topic, thanks Lola for this. It says, hey Katie, so I have a journal topic and it's my favorite. It's bloom where you are planted. And it says, all flowers are beautiful. They bloom beautifully, irrespective of whether they are planted in the ugliest swamp or the most beautiful garden, and thus contribute to make the place a bit more beautiful, either by their fragrance or their color. They all grow and they all blossom like flowers. We too are gifted with some special qualities. If we too, like flowers, try to bloom where we are, then we too can contribute to make the garden of life a bit more beautiful. And I think for me, this says that things happen. We can be in places in our life where we're like, this is a shit show. I hate it. Why is this happening to me? Or we're feeling really stagnant or stuck or something. But if we choose to thrive where we're planted, to bloom where we are, we can make our situation better for us, and we can make those around us recognize our positivity, our radiance, our excitement for life, because life is life. The shitty times, the good times, the everything in between, that is what makes life. And if I hadn't had bad times in my life, I wouldn't appreciate all the wonderful times I have. And so I choose to bloom where I'm planted. Do you? Okay, that's it. Have a wonderful weekend. I will see you all on Monday. I hope you liked the video. And on Tuesday, I'll be on Tumblr. So ask your questions there using the hashtag KatieFAQ. It's Fun to Live Friday.